Hi, and okay, so what we're going to do is start going over some of the graphical functionality inside of Fedora 17, and let's have a look at it. And we'll also go over the command line too. So we're just going to do a 2-for-1 deal here. All right, so as you may imagine, you need to be able to access files. So if I come over here to my activities, like this, I get this little side panel, and it's got a bunch of capabilities, including different little programs here that are needed. And one of the programs that's really useful, of course, is to be able to access your files. And brings up this little file tree view, and it's kind of just like if you're used to Windows, this is pretty much layout, or a Mac or anything like that. They all have this graphical layout of files. This is kind of like a Windows Explorer, if you will. But you got your different ones. You got your home, which brings your home directory for your user, and you have your different folder layouts here too, like documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos, etc., including the trash can. You can even access the network for things on here, where it goes, and you can even bookmark certain folders in order to make life easier. So that's pretty cool, and it's pretty awesome. And so you're probably looking at it and going, well, okay, so this is what I'm used to seeing. But if you're familiar with DOS or Max Terminal Shell, if you're familiar with Max Terminal Shell, it's identical to that because you are using the Unix shell. So for Linux, it's the same thing. So we are using shell for that, and then DOS is based off a Unix shell, so it's like a stripped down version of it. So it's pretty much the same thing. But let's have a look at that real quick. Now I have multiple desktops. You may notice that here on the right, and as I use up desktops, it adds more of them. I can have up to 256 desktops. If I click that right there, I can now click this over here and say terminal, and it brings up my terminal and it lets me type in commands. I'm going to hold down Control and Shift here and hit my plus a few times here, so that way I make it nice and big for you to easily see on the screen. But if I type in ls, this is for list, and there's a cool trick for learning these. If it's a single command, it's every other letter typically. About 90-something% of the time, these rules hold true. So if you do ls, it's list. It's L, and then you skip the I, and then do the S, skip the T. So ls. Same thing. If I want to do move, it'd be MV. If I want to copy, it's CP. If I want to do anything like that, link, for instance, symbolic links. A link is LN type thing. So if it's multiple words, like change directory, that would be CD because it's the first letter of each word then. So if it's multiple words, it could be the first letter of each word. And if it's a single word, it'll be every other letter. And that's true for like 90-something% of the commands. So if you just know that those two rules right there, it'll basically tell you how all the different shell commands. Well, most of the shell commands right there as far as that goes. So very cool. You may have noticed that, check it out, these are the exact same folders and everything that was just in my directory earlier. So if I come in here and check it out, I got the exact same thing here. It's identical. Very cool. So in this way, we can actually do the same thing in command line as we do graphically. So you can access the system whether it be command line or graphical, and there's certain benefits to doing it command line, and there's other times where you get benefits doing it graphical. So it'd be sometimes where it would be easier to do through command line. There's other times where it's easier to do it graphical. So you're going to learn both, so that way you can fully use the system to its full potential. All right. If I do ls-l, what it's going to do is it's going to display all the folders and whatnot here along with its permissions. So for instance, NFS client here, for instance, has this for permissions, and the owner of it is root, the group is root, it's read, write, execute for the user, read, write, execute for the group, and read, write, execute for everyone else. It also gives a date when it happened, when it was created for the file, and things of this nature. So very, very cool. And then here's the next entry, which is the NFS server, and it's redirect to actually /NFS/server, NFS server, as far as that goes. So you get all these different ones, and that's a symbolic link right there. That's why it has that little redirect right here. This is a symbolic link, so that when you go to this folder, it doesn't actually go into this folder. It actually takes you into that folder instead. But it looks like it's that folder right where you have it. So these can be very useful. But here again, you can see user and group. And this is the size of a file or a folder or whatever. And then we have the total number of items up here. So very cool, very powerful, and it gives you the idea. Now we can do this graphically too. So if we look at the graphical interface over here, we can go to View, and then we can say something else as far as that goes. We can, instead of doing it as icons, we could do it as a list. If we do it as a list, we get all this information over here. So you don't get quite as much information, but you get a lot of the same information. Not totally the same. You don't get the permissions, which is nice in the command line. So there is a little bit of a difference between the graphical and the command line, but it's pretty close. And then the other thing you can do too, besides that, is see hidden files. So if I say show hidden files, this will display all the folders that are hidden, along with the ones that are visible. Now it's pretty cool. It's easy to actually display the ones in the command line too. If I do ls-a, it's going to list all the ones that are hidden. Now you may notice that the ones that are hidden have a dot in front of it. So if you want to make a file or a folder hidden, simply when you name it, just put a dot in front of it, and then it's going to be hidden or for the file or the folder. And so there we're seeing our files and our folders, both hidden and non-hidden. If I want to see, I can combine options too. I can do AL, for instance. A is the hidden one, L is all the permissions. So if I list the folder here with the permissions and the hidden files, now I get all the hidden files with their permissions and their date they were created and all the goodies basically. So all that information. So that's very cool and very powerful. One of the things I can do besides that, like I was talking about some other files and whatnot, is that I can make directories. I can copy files. I can move files. Let's have a look at some of that. And I can change directories. Also, so if I want to change directories, for instance, I could cd into scripts, for instance, like so. And so I change directories. And if I say ls, it then lists all the shell scripts. Now, I do the same thing graphically. And you do it without even thinking about it, because you've been using graphical interfaces so long, probably. Let me just take away this hidden files just to help make things a little cleaner. Here, let's switch back over to icons. It's kind of like that better. But if I were to go in here to scripts, now you won't have scripts on your system here. We'll add it in just a second. You'll note that when I double clicked on that folder, it's the same thing as just changing directory into that folder. And then we get all these files here. Okay, so that's how that works. So let's do a few things. Let's make some directories. And let's rename stuff. Let's do some stuff like that. So let's create a test folder. Now, by ls here, I can see all my different things here as far as that goes. cd back here, dot here. And that takes me back a directory. If I say ls, then I can see where I'm at again. Well, I see my files anyways. If I'm in here, it's real simple, right? If I this would be the same thing as typing cd and then ls. Well, cd space scripts, and then after I hit enter, then type ls, and I get the listing of the files, right? But in order to go back, all I have to do is click right here, or the little back button right here, and it takes me back a directory. Well, I'll just actually click on the home here. It takes me back to the home directory. And the equivalent of that in command line was the cd space dot dot, and the dot dot takes you back one folder. So very powerful and very useful. Let's look at some other things though. Let's look at creating folders. You may note that we don't have a test folder in here, but before we do that, it's always good to know, are you in the right place? And one of the ways to find out if you're in the right place is type in pwd, and that's present working directory, and it lets you know, hey, you're right where you need to be. And that's really cool, and it's very powerful. And this tells me exactly where I am right now. And I'm in /home/student, which is exactly where I want to be, my home directory. If you ever are somewhere in the directory and you just want to get back to your home directory, just simply type in cd and then hit enter, and it'll take you back to your home directory. So for instance, if I were to cd into pictures, for instance, all right, if I type in pwd, it shows that I'm in /student/ slash home slash student slash pictures, I can get back to just slash home slash student just by typing in CD and hit enter. And check it out, I am now back in slash home slash student. Very cool. You also note that this right here is the location, my user that I'm currently, the user I'm currently being right now, and then this is also my current location. Now, when I'm in my home directory, it's going to say localhost here, which is actually your computer. Whereas if I'm in other locations, and then tilde, and the tilde means your home directory. That's exactly what it means. Like, as opposed to being here inside of pictures, we see that I am student on the computer localhost, which is, of course, my computer. It's everyone's computer. Localhost is always your computer on any operating system. And then pictures is the folder I was in earlier. So you can see that with that layout. So if you look at your prompt here, it actually gives you a lot of information every time, and it helps you ground where you're at, who you are, and on what computer you are. Because if I had this computer named, it wouldn't be localhost, it'd be a different name. And then I can tell what server I'm on or what computer I'm on. I can actually go to other computers with inside of this terminal, so it's really, really powerful. But okay, let's create a folder. Let's go mkdir. Now this is one of these rare commands that don't follow the rules, and that's because MD was already taken for another process. So we couldn't use MD, so they had to come up with something else. So they did mkdir, and it makes sense. It looks like make directory. So that's what it is. So if I come here and say test, for instance, I'll just make a test folder. And if I ls now, we can see the test folder is hanging out right here. Now, say you didn't want to look through everything to try to find it. You could have done ls and then t star like that to do a wild character, and then this only shows, well, make a liar out of me. I was going to say it only shows the ones with T in front of it, but I guess not. All right, well then. That's weird. All right, anyways. So there's a lot of tricks too with the command line. I'll show you how to do that, how I did that later on here. But anyways, let's go into our test folder. If I cd into it, I change directories into that test folder. And just to show you, over here, this would be the same thing as going into the folder by double clicking it. Now, if you wanted to make a folder in the command in the graphical like you did in the command line, right click on it and say create a new folder. Click on that and say I don't know, like graphic test. How about we call it graphic test? And then we have a new folder called graphic test. This is made graphically, whereas the test one was created command line, through command line. All right. Okay, so in here, let's create some files. I use touch, right? This normally updates the timestamp on the file, and by that I mean, like, if I do ls-l, of course there's no files in here, so let me do the touch first and then show you what it does. So if I do touch and there's no file there, it'll just create an empty file. So this is cool, very powerful, very useful. All right, so if I do touch here like this, I can say, I don't know, stuff, for instance, .txt. Alright, we're going to make a file called stuff. If I ls, there's stuff.txt. If I want to see the date and time on it, I do ls space -l, and it shows me that stuff.txt was made September 23rd, 22:38 hours. Okay, cool. And here's our permissions over here. And obviously it's not a directory because there's no D here, so gives you an idea of what's going on. Okay, but that's cool. And so now we see our timestamp. So if I had this file, if it did exist ahead of time, and I had done stuff.txt, it wouldn't have created a new file. Instead, it would have updated the timestamp. And of course, the time hasn't changed because I've done it too quickly. But if it had been like another minute later, it would have updated my time on my file there. So that's what touch is really for, but can be used to create files. So that's pretty cool. And let's look at how to do this command line wise, how to create an empty file, in the graphical. So if I go here to my graphic test one, like so, if I right click on it, I can say create a new document. I'm going to say empty document. I can say graphic stuff .txt, for instance, and bam, I got an empty file called graphic stuff.txt. And it's the same thing as like doing the touch from the command line. All right, let's go over to our command line again. And so this is pretty simple as far as this goes. What we're going to do is play around with this file some. So I can copy it, and when I copy it, I can rename it. So I can copy it from one place to another. I can copy it into the same folder I'm in right now, and I can do all kinds of stuff. But say I wanted to make a copy of it and have another file laying around with a different name for this file. All right, so if I want to do that, I could type out /home/student/ test / and then the name of the file, which would be stuff.txt. That sucks. That's really long. But there's a nice hot trick for basically making this really short and quick. And the way to do that is to put a // in front of it. So if you just do a // I don't have to type that whole thing. Basically, // says, okay, right here in this folder right now, this is where we're at. Okay, you don't have to type that whole thing. The dot in front of the slash basically does that whole thing for us. So now all I have to do is say stuff.txt. So it's way faster, way easier as far as that goes. And then // again, because I don't want to type that long thing again. Otherwise, I would have to, right? And then I'm going to say, I don't know, more stuff. How about that? .txt. All right. So I'm going to say copy like that, and boom, it copies it. So if I do an ls here, -l, or just ls period, we see we got more stuff and we got stuff, and it copied the file and put it into the same directory we're in. The // said, hey, the same directory we're in right now, and but it named it more stuff. Now, what if I wanted to do something a little different? What if I wanted to change the name of stuff? I didn't want to make a copy of it. I wanted to just change the name of it. Well, I can move a file. We don't have a rename tool to rename a file, but we do have a move tool. And if you move a file to the same location you're at, but change the name, you essentially have renamed it. And that's why they never created a rename tool, because you didn't need to, because you could just use the move tool. Obviously, I could also move a file from one directory to another if I liked. And I can also do some other things along those lines where I am basically... Oh, I can also move it from one directory into another and change the name at the same time if I like to. Now, we can't do that graphically that easily. This is one of those things where graphically you wouldn't have the same power. But say if I wanted to copy a file inside of the graphical, I could say like Control-C, or I could right-click on it and say copy. And then I could say Control-V to paste, or I could right-click and say paste if I right-clicked. But then I'm going to have to come in here afterwards, and now you're starting to see where the command line is a little more powerful here than the graphical. Some things, like I said, the graphical will be easier, but there's other times where the command line is definitely easier. And so I got this thing where I have to now go in and separately rename it, come in here, and say graphic, more stuff, maybe, like that. So that's how I do it command line. It takes more steps and it's more effort than it is to do it through... to do it graphically, it's more steps and it's more effort than it is to do it in command line. If I click this little button up here for my activities, I can get back to my other terminal again. Okay, let's do some crazier stuff. Let's rename this file. Now, I showed you how to rename a file in the graphical. Let's rename it in the command line. So if I say mv here, like this, and I say stuff.txt, maybe I want to name it as like my stuff. I don't know. .txt. We got a lot of stuff around, I guess. Let's put // in front of it. Technically, I wouldn't have to, since I'm just accessing it within the same directory, but I'm going to make sure things go the way I want. And if I say, oh, let's check it out, no longer is there stuff, there's just my stuff.txt. So stuff.txt is now gone, and it's now my stuff.txt. Same file, didn't lose anything, it's just been renamed. And I used the move tool to do that, believe it or not. So you can actually do that. But besides that, there's other things we can do. I can also remove a file. If I want to remove a file, I'll say rm space, and then the name of the file, more stuff.txt. And if I do that, boom, it's gone, it's deleted. If I say ls, there we go. It doesn't ask you if you want to delete it. It doesn't say, oh, can it go into the trash can? No, it's just gone. There's no trash can at the command line, okay? It's different than the graphical. It's different than like being on Windows or Mac. When you delete something in the command line on Linux, it's gone. There's no, hey, do you know what you're doing thing. You better know what you're doing when you're doing it. You delete it, it's toast. In the graphical, it's a little different story. You can't just delete something anymore like you used to be able to. So if you come over here and select this, I have to right click it. If I say delete, it won't delete it. I have to right click it and I have to say move to trash. And then once it's in the trash, then I can remove it. So I kind of hate this. It's a little bit annoying to me, but whatever. If I click on here, I can find my trash can hanging around somewhere. Where's the trash can? Well, usually the trash can's down here. Maybe the trash can's not down there anymore. Yay! Don't know where they moved it to. Yeah, so if you hunt for the trash can, I guess enough, you can find it. Oh, goodness. You know what? I actually started thinking about I think they moved it. They did move it. I think they moved it over here. Yes, they did. So they moved the trash over here, and then you can say empty trash like this. I'm sorry. It used to be on the top, then it was on the side panel, then they moved it from there over to here. So they've moved it several times. That's why I couldn't remember where it was. Let me go here. So now it's inside of this graphical file browser. So there we go. And I believe this file browser's name is Nautilus. So that's the name of this program. Go to help here, say about, and then we see, yes, this is Nautilus. This is the name of the program that we're using right now. So yeah, your file browser is Nautilus. Alright, so if I come over here, now we can do some crazier stuff. I'm going to start doing some stuff here pretty soon that we really can't do in the graphical. But first, let me show you a problem with the deleting a directory. Because it has stuff in it, you can't delete it. So if I were to try to delete stuff right now, if I try to say rmdir, which is to remove a directory, if I come in here and say tests, like this, try to remove that directory, I can't do it. Failed to remove test, directory not empty. I have to have every file removed from that folder before I can remove it. Well, that kind of sucks. Well, there is a way to delete a directory. I'm just going to go ahead and get out of it on the graphical, out of that folder, just so it doesn't mess with me. Oh, I'm already out of it. Never mind. Don't have to be, but it helps if I do. I'm going to show you how to remove a directory even though it has files in it. So as you remember, graphic test over here already had files in it. We created them graphically. So how do I remove it? Because if I do the same thing again, I'll prove this. I'll prove that it has files in it. Right? Can't do it because it has files in it. Okay. So if I want to remove this directory now, I can say rm, and then this is where it gets dangerous. -r space, and then the name of the folder I want to get. If I say F with it, it forces it, so it doesn't have to ask me, do you want to delete this? Do you want to delete that? Do you want to delete this? Do you want to delete that? So if you put F there, you don't have to answer, yes, I want to delete that file. Yes, I want to delete that file. I mean, what if you had 1,000 files in that folder and you want to delete all 1,000 files with a folder? You would have to say yes 1,000 times if you didn't put this F there. So put the F there in order to save your sanity, and then say graphic test. Like that. Boom, enter, it's gone. Check it out. ls, just it's gone. It's toast. It's not there anymore. It's completely just history. And so that's how you can actually remove a folder with all its files. Be very careful with this command. If you were to do an rm-rf on that right there, that would wipe the entire computer. Do not hit enter on that. And if you did do that, it would completely just wipe out the entire computer. So very, very dangerous, and be very careful about that. So, and there's no undo, and there's no getting your files from the trash. No, your whole operating system would crash. You wipe out the whole thing, and you would have to start over again with your system. So, be careful with that command. There's some commands in Linux that are extremely powerful, and they can be very useful, or they can be very dangerous if you don't use them properly. So, there's a command that's very dangerous. Of course, you'd have to have permission to wipe out the whole system. And as a student, you don't have that permission. But it would wipe out your whole account, without a doubt. It would do that. So, thankfully, you don't have permission to do that, the whole system, because you're a student, as a user. So students only allowed to do student things and not the only and whatever they want. So that's one of the wonderful things here about Linux. It has a lot of permissions and security. So someone can't just go off and start doing whatever they want. You have to actually be eligible to do what it is you want to do. You have to be allowed to do it. All right, so I'm going to cd right now into test real quick. And let's do some more things. So if I do ls here, you saw what it does to the screen. It displays it, but I could actually redirect this and take the output. Instead of making it go to the screen, I can actually make it go to a file. So I could say like list.txt, right? I could do that. And if I ls now, I have a new file called list.txt. Now remember, my stuff.txt is totally empty, but list.txt actually has something in it now. If I were to say cat, now that's something I just did, you cannot do in the graphical. You cannot redirect something you click on to something else to make it do something. So at this point, we're starting to do stuff in the command line that you couldn't even dream about doing in the graphical, and this is where some of the command line stuff gets to be a lot more powerful. So if I cat, for instance, my stuff, I can prove that there's nothing in this file. Cat displays the contents of a file to your terminal, to your screen. So nothing there. I got nothing back, right? But if I were to cat list.txt, I would see the contents of this file. And lo and behold, there it is. The files that would have been listed when I do an ls are now stored in that file. So instead of it going to the screen, like just by doing ls, if I say ls and then I redirect it with this greater than sign here, I can tell it what file I want to put what would go to the screen, where to put it in what file, and what to call the file. And I say list.txt, and then bam, it put all that text that normally goes to the screen, and instead it put it into this file right here, which was list.txt. So very cool, very powerful. Now, what if I wanted to add stuff to list? What if I wanted to append it? Maybe I want, I don't know, the hidden files and the other ones, but I want to add it to the file, and I didn't want to create a new file for it. So if I did ls-a, I could say list.txt here. And first off, I need to say greater than with a space. That's kind of important. And this appends. So the single greater than, not only does it redirect it to a file, but the file already exists, it will wipe it out. But if I say greater than, it will add it to the end of the file, or it appends it to the file. So if I do that right there, and then I'm hitting my up arrow keys, this lets me cycle through commands I've already typed. And I can go back to my cat and check it out. Here was the first entry in there. So this is the first time. This was the one with the redirection on it, which was this right here. That was the output from that one there. And then below it is our hidden files, which we have none. But it displays this information here. And so this is the output from our hidden files, and it got appended to the end of the file. And so that's what this command did. Alright, now what if I wanted a detail listing with the hidden files appended to the end? But before I did that, I wanted to put a space in there, and I want to put some kind of entry in there, right? Because if I just want to append that detail list, I'd just do AL, right? But then it's going to be smashed up against the previous listing of the file, just like this one was right here. So if I don't want that, if I don't want it just smashed up like that, then I need to do this a little smarter. So what I can do is I can say echo. Echo will display something to the screen. Like for instance, if I put it in quotes like this, I can say something and it'll display it to the screen, like hello there, for instance. Alright, and it'll display it to the screen. Of course, it helps if I don't put the exclamation mark, right? Echo in quotes. Hello there. Hello. The exclamation mark is a special character. I should have escaped it, but anyways, hello there. I think I can get away with escaping it if I put slash exclamation mark. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, we're not getting into that. But yeah, as you can see, it displays stuff to the screen. Okay, cool. Well, there is a problem with wanting to. Well, so if we want to get this, okay, let's put it this way. If I want to have just a blank line, I could say double quotes like this, two sets of double quotes together with nothing there. And I could append this to my file, .txt, and then this will just put a space in my file and approve it. If I type in cat list.txt, you'll notice we got a space at the end. And that was because of our echo, or echo in quotes here. And then I could even have it write a message into the file. So this is really cool. This is how you can pass messages or lines and save it into the end of a file. This is how you do it. It's really cool. It's very helpful when you're doing scripting too. Well, if I echo here, I can say, detailed list with hidden files. And maybe a colon there or something like that. All right, and I do that right there. And if I cat it, just by hitting the up arrows here, it pops out. And then check it out. It says detailed list with hidden files. You're like going, okay, cool. So we can actually put text into a file at the end of the file with appending it. So very powerful, very cool. And so let's go ahead and attach that detailed list with hidden files. So if I do A here, it's going to give me my hidden files. If I do L, it's going to give me my detailed list, right? And if I redirect that, I can make that go into list.txt. And of course, I need to append it. So I need a double greater than sign, like that. And now I hit enter. Okay. So if I cat it, I'm just going to hit my up arrows again. Cat it, check it out. I now have a space to separate it between my previous listing. And then now I have my detailed list with hidden files. And it says I got a total of 12 in here, and it's got all that information. So very cool and very powerful. So that's some of the redirection. One other thing we can do is we can actually read in from a file and make it do stuff. So for instance, I can actually take a file, read the information in it, and do something with that if I like. So what's a good explanation of this? All right, so let me just do one where it's be really ridiculously long. So /bin, for instance, that would give me a very long listing of files. Okay, extremely long listing of files. I'm still scrolling, and I'm not even remotely close to the top, and it just cut me off. It said, all right, there's too much stuff to list. I can't even begin to go through it. Well, one of the things you can do in order to help dealing with this, and this will go somewhere, don't worry, is to redirect something. This output's too much, right? I'll get into reading in something in just a bit. We'll get there. Just a moment. First, we need to look at some of these other techniques here for like piping. So if I redirect this output, which is way too much for the screen, and we're to pass it into the command more like this, I can now step through the file bit by bit, because it flew by, and it's way too much information. And I can hit enter, or I can hit the spacebar. If I hit enter, it's going to go line by line. If I hit spacebar, it's going to go page by page. So it lets me page through it. If I'm tired of going through this, of course I can just hold it down like that. Or if I hit Control C, it will kill the program right away. If LS, I can see where I'm at again. So that's really cool. It lets you step through it. Another way to do it besides more is the command less. And basically, something you have to remember is it's the same exact setup. If you hit spacebar, lets me page through it, and enter lets me go line by line. If you want to think of it as like less is more, it's a great way to kind of think about it, because Q to quit that, so you don't have to keep going down. So there is that. That's nice. If you hit Q, you can quit that. And so that's one of the benefits of less over more, but essentially less and more are almost identical. So if you want to think of it as less is more, that'll help you remember that it's the same thing practically. And it just lets you step through your output. But okay, so now we can redirect stuff. Well, that's cool. But I can actually read in data from a file and display it with more. So now catting list.txt actually started to get where we actually had some stuff in it for once. Okay, so it actually ran off the page. Wow, we actually had enough data in there. So what if I wanted to page through that? Well, I could say more like this. You're going, well, wait a minute. No, it gets better. Say less than. It can only be a single less than sign, not double, because you're not appending. You can only read. You're reading in from a file. If I say list.txt, for instance, I will actually read the contents from list.txt and pipe it into the more command, read it into the more command, and then the more command will handle it, like so. So very cool. That's how you can read in input from a file. Okay, so we covered quite a bit of stuff fairly quickly here. May need to go over this video several times so you feel comfortable about this stuff. But that covers some of the base commands right there. There's some other stuff that you really will need to know. That's super important. In order to become root privileged in our system, it's going to be password for the password. But if you say su space dash dash here, like this will let you become root. If I type in password, I become the administrator. I didn't have to log out and then log back in. If I were to do graphically, that is what I would have to do. I'd have to log out and then log in as root. But if I'm using command line here, I can actually change users within my command line without ever leaving, without ever logging in and out. I can even go on to other computers and use those computers, change users, blah, 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 never having to log in or out the whole time. So really powerful, really crazy cool, and very useful. So now I'm going to start doing administrative stuff from my terminal. This is something I couldn't even do graphically if I wanted to, and I can do it from my terminal without ever logging in or logging out. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm just going to start installing things. So if I say yum install, I can do things like FileZilla, for instance. And this is a great FTP program. I don't want to say yes to when it asks me, do I want to install the stupid thing? So if I say -y like that, it makes life easier for me. And I say enter. And it goes out onto the internet. And I knew about that program, so I knew to look for it. Right? So that's one of the things you do need to know about what program it is you're going to install to use the command line version of this. There's a graphical too, so if you don't know what the name of the command is, I'll show you a tool later on in just a second here where you can graphically hunt it down. But it takes longer, it's more effort to install something graphically than it is command line. But if you don't know what it is you're looking for, then the graphical is really nice and it's really cool. Anyways, this went out on there, and Yum stands for Yellow Dog Update Manager. It's made by the Yellow Dog Linux and not Red Hat, but Red Hat uses it along with like all the other RPM systems because it's really, really good. And it just basically went onto the internet, found everything that FileZilla needed, downloaded it also, and installed it all right there. So it went out and found 3 different programs that were required in order to make FileZilla work. And it found all of them on the internet, downloaded them, and installed them, and then verified that they were installed correctly. And then bam, there it is. So here it is, installed FileZilla, and then this is what was required in order to make FileZilla work. So it went out and found those and downloaded it for us too. Wow. Man, that's easy. And that made it so nice. If I want to, I can also do upgrades. I can say yum space upgrade, and this will upgrade the computer. No kidding. And not just the software on the operating system, but also all the applications too. So very crazy cool and powerful. I don't want to do that yet. I'll do that at the very end. It's great to have your system up to date, but if I do that, it won't let me show you the graphical install while that's happening. So I want to run that after I show you this other part, and then we can look at doing some other stuff. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the graphical install. And I'm also going to go over some of the programs and super cool programs that we have on here. But now we've been looking at this and we're saying, okay, Windows. And so we've only been playing around inside of Windows and these little applications running on the side. And here's your Firefox here for your internet. So you got all these cool little programs on the side. There's actually tons of awesome graphical programs that are already in here. Now, if you know what you're looking for, you can actually start to type it, like software. Like I want to install software. And I can literally type in software and it will just pull up all the programs that have anything to do with installing software. So we have add remove software, we have updating the software graphically, blah, blah, blah. This also works for updating software. It runs slower though than the command line. So if you do it in command line, it will run faster. And so I recommend doing it in command line for your updates. But it's so simple. You just say yum space update and there you go. And then you're updating all your system faster. It doesn't have to go through the graphical, it actually runs faster. So that's cool. But if I come here to my add remove software, I'll actually have it. And then so Linux is really cool because it's got twice the speed on the internet connection that Windows has. And then also it saves the hard drive about 50% faster too. So it's really efficient and it's really fast. And so doing these demo installs isn't bad. A lot of the programs are pretty small. But say there's something I wanted to find, I don't know, I want some programs. Like maybe I want some games, right? If I click on the games category, it'll come up with tons of games. They're free. I can just download them and install them. No kidding. That's all there is to it. I literally just check them, and then it will download and install them. It's pretty cool. What about some other stuff? Maybe I don't want games. Maybe I want multimedia applications, right? Well, I can do that too. I can just come in here and select multimedia, and I can scroll through until I find what it is I want, and then it'll just like download and install it for me if I check it. So very cool and very powerful, and that's extremely useful indeed. All right. So there's lots of stuff, everything from burning music, CDs, etc. There's also Office software in here too, which is awesome and amazing. There's some really good ones in here, matter of fact. You'll find all kinds of very useful ones. Like Die is a great program, especially if you want to like do flow charts or anything like that for programming. It's great, or organizational charts or anything like that. But if I check this program right here and I say apply, it will start downloading and installing this. Alright, so it's going to prompt me. So this is nice. So that way I don't have to log in and out just to install a program because this is a administrative level task. It's just going to prompt me to put in a password for the administrator. So I put in a password like this. Say enter. Well, sorry, I didn't give it focus. I'm under attack by a cat wanting attention right now. Alright, so password. There we go. And what it's going to do is it's going to start downloading and installing. You can see that down in this left-hand side corner right here. So there we are, down the corner. You see the processing bar is checking for signatures to make sure it's verified and it's all good and clean, and you're not downloading something bad. Installing packages, etc. Also checks to make sure that you get the whole program and not part of it downloaded, since it is come across the internet. But now it's installing the program, and that's it. There you go. And I could even run it if I wanted to afterwards. It's going to automatically ask, hey, do you want to run this? And I can choose to do so, and bam, now the program runs. Yeah, you don't have to restart your system afterwards. It will just automatically start running for you, working for you immediately. It's immediately available to you right afterwards. So very, very cool, very, very powerful, and truly quite amazing, really, this whole program is. Besides that, I do like Die quite a bit. Die is pretty useful. We have CSS editors, we have a diagram drawing program, but they actually have full entire Office suite in here called Open Office if you want. And me scrolling to find it is going to take a little while. Oh yeah, they also call it LibreOffice. Whatever, my terrible accent for that. But we have several different things here. And we see a spreadsheet application, which we already have here, a drawing application. But besides that, they got more. Extra graphic filters. You see, you got that there. And then you also have a presentation application, which is kind of like PowerPoint. This whole thing's free. By the way, this is also on Windows too, by the way. Open Office equation editor application. I mean, they got a lot of stuff on here. It's really quite awesome. The word processor. And so this for Office stuff is what a lot of people are going to want. And so you see a lot of programs there. So that's already installed. Let me see here. Try to find some more. Well, inside of the graphics side of things, there's quite a few awesome programs in there that you might find would be really useful to you. Typically GIMP is already installed, but Blender is a really good one for 3D if you want a 3D one. Let's do that. I want to show you that you can install multiple applications simultaneously. It automatically just download it and install it for you, and you don't even have to think about anything. It's just, I want to show you just how easy this thing really is. It's quite amazing. Here's stuff for handling digital photography. Of course, you can also use GIMP or Cinepaint. Cinepaint's used on major motion pictures. Here's GIMP. All right, so GIMP's already installed as far as that goes. Cool. There's GIMP extras, GIMP help files. So say I want the GIMP help files here. Already has the GIMP help plugin. Graphiz. There's other ones besides this though. There's Image Magic seems to be pretty popular. Inkscape is pretty good. It's kind of like Illustrator, not totally, but kind of like it. And there's also Xara. There's several good ones on here. Make Humans, kind of fun. Oh heck, let's throw that in there too while we're at it. So we might not be able to do some 3D ones without having 3D. You need an NVIDIA card really to do the 3D on Linux. This just kind of goes with the territory. There's Tux Paint, designed for little kids, which is cool. So I guess I don't have Xara on here. You can get it though if you want. But anyways, okay, so let's say we have all those programs, right? Well, if I say apply, it's going to go through and it's going to find all those programs, all their dependencies, and download install them all at the same time. No joke. So here it is. It found them all. Additional requirements, confirmation. Do we agree to this? Of course you want to. So you're going to say continue. And it's just going to go out on the internet, find them all, and download and install them all. And you just look down in your left-hand corner, and here it is. It's downloading those packages. And you just like kick back while it does it. And then after this thing's done installing, these magical applications will appear in your system. And bam, there you go. And it's that easy. They also have video editing software in here and sound editing software, so you can do sound effects and sound music editing. You can convert your CD files and stuff like that into MP3s or whatnot easily, and dock your iPods or iPads and anything else devices and transfer your MP3s to them. You can there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can play music on here. You can record video on here. They got several good recorders on here for desktop recording software that's free. It does a great job. Istanbul is my favorite for doing recording. The other one that's decent is the GTK recorder. And so that one's pretty good too. But anyways, there's tons of stuff on here. There's also lots of video players like VLC and things of that nature too on here that are great, that will let you play about any video format and watch anything on it and so on and so forth. You can also install Flash through here. You can, I mean, you name it. They got a lot of stuff on here this way. Also, you can get into your servers here if you need to install servers, and you can click on it, and it'll list the servers that you can install also from the servers folder. You can also, if you're looking for something in particular, you can type it in. Like say, for instance, I wanted to find Flash. I can type in Flash, assuming I spell it right. And it's going to kind of not want to pull it up right now while I'm installing because it's kind of busy at the moment. But once it's done, this will show up for the Flash. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead. While that's installing, I can go do other things. I don't have to sit here and babysit it. I don't have to sit here and wait for it to finish. I can actually go do other things on my computer, and it's okay. It won't harm anything. It won't hurt anything. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to come over here to my other desktop, my third desktop, and then I'm going to go to my applications. And if I go to applications here, sorry, it's bogging down. It is slowing down from doing all this. And we've got all these other applications we can choose from. Check it out. We've got these in categories over here, and in our categories we can look at our different stuff. So that's pretty cool. One of our categories here is Office. And since so many people need to be able to type things, write papers, things of that nature, do spreadsheets, etc., you can actually do that in here. It's all free. It can be used for commercial and non-commercial purposes, whatever you need to do. And you just come in here. Like, for instance, open Office Writer. Just double-click on that. LibreOffice 3, as it were. You can find this for Windows, www.openoffice.org. You can download it for Windows also. There you go. And then it has like pretty much has like all the features of all your other major text editing program. Plus it has a few more too. So if we go in here to edit, we got paste, copy, all that fun stuff, selecting, select all this amazing stuff, auto text, plugins, etc., etc., etc. We can view different layouts, including a web layout. Yes, you can actually create a web page with this thing too, believe it or not. It's very powerful. We got different toolbars here that we can activate. Everything from form design to form controls, navigation, 3D settings, align, drawing, bullet numbers, drawing object properties, font work. I mean, just you name it. There's so many things. I'm not even going to bother going into it all. Media playback, OLE. I mean, just tons of stuff. Formulas, etc. You can insert just practically anything and everything. Header, footer, hyperlinks, format marks, cross references. Jiminy Christmas, there's so much stuff in here. Pictures, movies, and sound, etc. And here's the framework. So check this out. We got characters, anchor. Here's your different web, some of your different web things right here, whatnot. It's great inside of format. Also regular format stuff too. And then you also have tables. So you can create tables in here, whether it be for a paper or a web page. And then you can go over here to tools. You can do spell checking, grammar checking too. Language for selection, paragraph, text all, word counts, outline numbering, line numbering if you need line number stuff, gallery, bibliography, database, mail merge wizard. I mean, gosh, you name it. There's so much stuff here. You can run macros. You can actually create little programs to run inside this thing to make it do extra special awesome stuff. Extension manager, XML filter settings, autocorrect options, optimize, but customize and more options if you like on that for your tools. Then you have your new windows if you have over here, and then there's some help too. Aside from all that, which is quite a bit, I think, anyway. So here's your fonts, of course, and font size, and your bold, italicized, underline, right justify, left justify, center, the whole entire page type thing, justified, numbering, etc., bullet points, blah, blah, blah. You can also click these and get extra stuff coming off of them, like so. I don't know, it makes life easy. If you come over to File, in addition to File here, you can also choose text, document, spreadsheet, presentation, drawing, HTML document, XHTML form, document, master document, formulas, labels, business cards, templates and documents. There's wizards here for letters, fax, agenda, presentations, webpage, etc. Euro converter even. Export. You can also export as a PDF. That's really cool. So you can actually create PDFs with this. And that's awesome. That just saves you, because the PDF program is like about $1,000 or so, something like that. So this saves you quite a bit of money and time and effort. We have properties in here, templates, preview in a web browser if you want to preview it as a web page, make the page view, print it, all that fun stuff. So you notice a lot of power. Let's just real quick. I want to show off some of the other ones here too. Like if I say new here and I say spreadsheet. Oh look, it looks like Excel. It's almost just like it. And pretty much anything you do in Excel, you can pretty much do in here too. It's got, well, literally, it's just, there's so much stuff here. Feel free to use it for whatever you need to do. I use it for my stuff. I don't go out and buy a Microsoft Office. I don't need to. I have this. And it saves me so much time, effort, and money. It's not even funny. In addition to that, I can also do File here and New. And presentations can be like PowerPoint. There it is. Has pretty much every feature you have in PowerPoint too, as far as that goes. And here it is, and it's free. Again, you can also have this on Windows or on Mac. So I go into www.openoffice.org and format the stuff. You can have your tools, your spell checking, your language, macros, etc. Windows, help, etc. Just kind of like you expect. New drawing here. Yep, you can even do drawings in this thing. And that's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. And you got them down here as far as that goes, so you can actually connect one thing to another. Like so, and you can do a diagram thing. so on and so forth, like that. And you can keep going, you know, little double arrow stuff. And it's got some little drawing stuff, just kick out for presentations or whatever. Very simplistic. But if you want to do more advanced, more cool, more powerful drawings, you can do that. This is more for business people who don't know how to draw. But if you do know how to draw, they got some programs for you too. Some very good ones at that. Let me close these out real quick. And let me kick up some of the graphics packages real quick. So if we come over to applications, I can go over here to graphics like so. And now Blender's done installing. I didn't even have to, I didn't even bother with it. It just went out and did it for me. Here's Cinepaint. Yeah, so here's some of these programs I told it to install a second ago, and it's done already. Here's Make Human, for instance. Just let you make people. It's kind of fun. Here's Scribus. Scribus is great. It's a page layout program, so you can do like pamphlets or brochures, or print an entire book and send it to the publisher or printers to have it professionally printed. It lets you set it up professionally like that, and it's free. And that'd normally be a very expensive program, but it's free. Here's GIMP. It's kind of like, it's almost identical to Photoshop. Matter of fact, it can read Photoshop files and Photoshop brushes, and you can save out Photoshop files too. GIMP is very powerful. It's a very nice program. It's extremely cool. I can't say enough good things about it. I use this program all the time. I also use Photoshop, but I also use GIMP for professional use and all the time. And it's just awesome. And you don't really have to go out and if you're on a budget, you don't have to go out and buy an expensive photo manipulation program. This one will do it for you. I mean, this will do it. Trust me, it will do it. So if I create new, I can create a new document here if I wanted to, or I could open a page or something like that. I can tell you create here, and I can create from a clipboard, from a web page, screenshot, anything like this. You can even generate buttons and things of this nature, like a round button, bevel button, logos. No kidding you. We can do logos here. Like, for instance, okay, I'll just show you this real quick. Let's see here. I don't want to do frosty. I don't know. Could do glowing hot. That'd be cool too. Carved is kind of neat. Hard to choose which one I want to use. All right, maybe I'll just do cool metal. Cool metal is always fun. So Linux, because it's awesome. So I say, okay, so that's what I want my logo to be, Linux. Right? So I say okay to it, and bam, there it is. Creates it. So there's my new logo, and it looks nice. So it's got a lot of handy like auto features, but besides that, you're like, oh well, who cares? Well, no, that's actually kind of cool. But there's also hundreds of plugins, if not thousands of plugins for this for free that you can also use, and a lot of them are really good. So yeah, check them out. They're very powerful. There's also tons of free brushes for this thing too. They can use, and again, you can also use the Photoshop brushes. You can find free Photoshop brushes out there. You can, or buy them even. You can put them in there and use them too, which is great. So, but say I'm in here on this, and I wanted to do something else. Maybe I want to do like that. I can also come in here. I can also paint on here. So I can grab a paintbrush and I can start to paint like that. It has some fuzzy fall off on it. I got layers over here. I can create the different layers, and I can manipulate stuff. Yeah, I can come in here with my eraser tool and erase things. There's so many things I can do. I can skew this however I need to, transform it, see, like that, for instance, and I can transform it afterwards. And then I get something like that. There's a lot of things you can do with this. I can flip it from side to side if I want. I can shear it. So they're sheared. I'm really messing this thing up on purpose, really. I can scale it. I can do all kinds of things I want. I can move it. I can zoom in on it, etc., etc. I can sample color of something if I wanted to. Here, of course, I'd have to click and change. Thank you. And it samples that color, which isn't much. You can hold it down interactively as you can see the color changing down there. I can cut things out. I can select it, lasso it. I can do smart selections on things. I can do tons of stuff on here. I can do create paths. I can do blur things. Yeah, I can do calligraphy. I can do healing tool, healing brush, clone brush, or painting, fixing pictures like red eyes or something like that in a picture. I can take a blur tool, for instance. Let me click off that selection. I don't want the selection on there anymore. Just click in there to drop that selection. All right, so I'm going to come back over here and blur. So I can come over here and I can just kind of blur this out if I like. Maybe it's too harsh or something like that. I come in here and just kind of blur it down to what I want here. I can also smudge. So I can smudge it like with my finger or whatever and get the look I want for it. Get control over that. And I also can dodge and burn. So here we are with some of that. Of course, dodge is going to make it lighter, whereas burn is going to do the opposite. Burn will make it get darker instead. Oh, where's my other one? That's clone tool. Another type of clone tool. We've got a lot of tools in this thing. Anyways, we can also change the size of the brush and the type of brush too. So like over here, all these different types of brushes, and we can choose any of them and just kind of like splatter. I can come in here and change the color of it, the look of it if I want. Change the way something looks. Which is kind of cool. It'd probably help if I wasn't on dodge. Yeah, sorry, I need to be on the brush here. Could be on a pencil instead. So you see the difference between the two. I can also do like a fill bucket thing here. Of course, I need to have something selection to put that in. Always tends to help, if I remember right. Yeah, there you go. I can also create gradients. Of course, I'm not going to get much with that selection there, so I got to get rid of selection. All right. If I come over to gradient, I can come over and do a gradient like so. There's a gradient. I'm telling it for what direction I'm going with on it, as you can see like that. In addition to that, besides the eraser, which I already showed off, airbrushing, etc., etc. Oh yeah, I can also do text in here. And then, like, hello. Alright. Do something like that, for instance. But besides all that, and there's a lot of stuff there, as you can see. I'm not trying to do great art in this thing, just showing off some of the features. But besides all that, you also got some color balance here. You got color balance, colorize, brightness, contrast, levels, things of this nature. So you can literally come in here and tweak this in if you want for the image and redefine its ranges and all that. So there, I basically color corrected something. This is best shown on an actual image though. So if I go here to open and I drop down into the file system and I go into /usr, which is user applications, and then I hunt down Pixmaps, because Pixmaps is where it's at. This is going to be inside of local. Where is it? User Pixmaps, typically. Oh, they put inside share? Maybe. No, it's not where I'm expecting it to be. Let me try user share Pixmaps. Yep, there it is. Pixmaps. Yeah, I just went past you. Alright, there you are. Alright, so we got all these different ones, including like that. But what if we had some other... Well, that's a splash screen. If I have to use that, I will. I really don't want to. Yeah, it's really not pretty. Yeah, nothing at all. Comps. Uh, Jamie Christmas. This is what I was afraid of. They used to have a whole bunch of like space pictures and stuff on here, which is really cool. And I don't know if they have them on here anymore. Sorry, that's what. Oh, it's under faces. Weird. Okay. Well, it doesn't make much sense to me. But okay, but let's choose fish for instance. That's really small fish. Alright, that's really not going to make for a good demonstration. They used to have these beautifully big um, space pictures, not just this astronaut, but I mean, they had a bunch of them, and they were gorgeous from outer space. These are all tiny. Oh, that's frustrating. Okay. Well, I could download stuff, but I'll try coffee real quick, and then I give up. Let's use one of the images I have. Alright, I give up. These are really not what I was looking for, but alright, whatever. Okay, so say I have this picture here, right? Which I do, so no guessing on that. Let's take this, blow it up some, so that way we can see what we're doing here. It's going to get a little pixelated. There's nothing I can do about it. The image is tiny. Now it is a raster image. But if I come in here to my colors, I can come in here and start adjusting things like levels. I'll show you what this does. Like, so I can come in here like this, and if I can grab it, if I could grab it, please, thank you. Start adjusting that in. I can actually go pretty far with it. Of course, you don't want to do that. And what you really do want to do is get into this edge like that. And this is about perfect here, but if I wanted to, I could push the other end of the spectrum too and lighten it up if I liked. I'm not going to lose a lot of information, but I will lose some. And that brightened it up too much, in my opinion, really, because the whites are getting too white on that. So here I don't lose much at this point. So if I wanted to lighten it up and not lose much information, that would work right there. So I'm still getting some whites, but it's not like getting overblown. And I did lighten up the whole image, and then I did cause a little more contrast, and so it makes the image pop a little more. There's some other things I can do besides that, though. I can come in here to my filters. I can do something like Gaussian blur, like this. And if I say OK to that, it'll blur it. Make it look like it's out of focus. There's tons of filters in here. Filters are great tools. They shouldn't be relied on for your only method of doing things by any shape of the imagination. But they're useful. You can also enhance things like anti-analyze, despeckle, destripe, all that's fun. Red eye removal, sharpen, unsharpen, distortions, mosaic, newsprint, page curl. These are cool. Like for instance, if I want to do a page curl, I can make it do it like that, and it looks like the page is being churned. So there's lots of things. I mean, I haven't even begun to tap this thing. There's so many things in here: lights and shadows, noise. There's so many edge detection stuff. There's Sobel, for instance, algorithm, film strip, artistic. You oilify it. You can make it look like Predator. You can clothify it. Apply canvas. You make it look like it's on a canvas, for instance. There you go. Now it looks like it's on a canvas. Of course, it's not the best with the page turn. So if I undo the page turn, we get better results out of this. So if I come down here into artists, I can do other things too besides that. I could go Van Gogh with it. I could clothify it. I can do cubism, impressionistic, and we got a couple different ones here. I don't want to do impressionistic. Let me try to do some. Sorry, I got a cat on my lap again. All right, artistic. Let's just try oilify. Oilify is nice. I like oilify. And that's too much on the oilify. Say, okay, that's a cold nose, kitty. All right, so there we go, and we have an oil-fied picture. It looks like it's been painted or whatnot. But anyways, there's lots and lots of stuff you can do on here. You can do coffee stains. You can do all kinds of amazing things. So, there's that program. That's just one program. And I could spend literally weeks and weeks covering this program. It's really got lots and lots of capabilities and power to it. So I'm going to stop here. It's just going to keep going if I don't. So my apologies, but gotta bring it to an end sometime. All right, so let's go to applications. Let's go to graphics here. Let's get a few other ones here too. Like for instance, Inkscape is really good, and it's very powerful too. All right, so this program is pretty amazing. And here's the sheet. So it's a vector-based program instead of pixels like the last one was. And there's all kinds of crazy stuff you can do with this thing. I can just like slap this down, for instance. I can change and define a stroke if I want. Excuse me. I can also do 3D boxes like this, which is kind of cool if you need to do like environment layouts or something like that. You can do it. Coming down to a vanishing point over here, you line up all your vanishing points and make things look awesome. I can come over here and create like a circle like this real easily. I can make adjustments to that circle, drop in shadows on it, things of that nature. I don't know, there's a lot of really cool and very powerful things you can do with this. It's not going to really be a good demonstration here. Let's see, rectangles, stars, polygons. This is really not a good example of this thing. But I can also draw in here. And you might be going, well, that doesn't look like anything. I agree, but you can also change things. Like, for instance, I can change my stroke here. Sorry, I'm battling a cat right now, and it's making it very difficult to do this. Let's see here. Besides that, oh gosh, I haven't used this program in a long time. There's a way you can set the stroke on this. If only I could remember. Layers. Yeah, it's got layers too. Might be under path here. Strokes to path. You can cut path. You can do unions, differences, intersections, exclusion, divisions, cut paths, combine paths, break apart. It's really powerful. It's really got quite a bit of stuff on it. I can go to filters here. I can create bevels, blurs, color, bumps, distortions, all this fun stuff. Materials morphology, black hole, for instance, ridges, scatter. It's kind of cool. It's really got some interesting things here. I can do text here, so on and so forth. You can also do some cool calligraphy type stuff with this thing too. Here's the path tool here. You can actually lay out a path. If I hold it down, it lets me curve it like that. And now I'll create a whole path on it, like so. So, sorry. I can change the color of this thing if I like, right here. With this, I can choose click selection, fill stroke. Yeah, I need to do something with the stroke, so I'm just trying to remember how to do it. Is my problem. It's really, really powerful. Gosh, I wish I could show you. You can like draw it, and it'll actually take the shape, direction you're going with to define the look of your stroke, and it's really cool. I could do some of the stuff here with it. As a for instance, stroke style. Caps, dashes. Yeah, I can do a solid here. I can do dashes. I can do anything of the sort. I can also define the width of it. Also, I don't have any markers on this thing, which I'm fine with right now, which is cool. Linear gradient on this thing. Yeah, I don't have this thing set right. Not by a long shot. So it's great I can fill the stroke, but it's nothing. Like, you can really do some neat things. I might be thinking more of Xara too, but this thing has more power than Xara does. But Xara lets you draw stuff really well. Lets you work with it. I don't use this vector stuff as much. I use a lot of pixel stuff, but not much in the way of vectors. Here's text. Here's your filters, bevels. Um, Bloom. There's not much to do with that. So if we can't throw some filters on some of these right here. Bloom. There we go. There's some filters. Dark glass, fat oil, glowing metal. You get some of these different ones on here. Really like punch it up on some of these, make it look cool. Do distortions on it and make it ripple, things of this nature. Blueprint, overlays, morphologies. Whole 3D marble. As far as materials go, like a black hole, that thing. I could come in here, filter and bevel it, like dark glass. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this. And you just like start taking it further and further on here. You got shadows and glow. Drop shadow, for instance. Laid in a drop shadow on it. Besides all that, you know, just break out line map. Since these are actual algorithms, we're not dealing with pixels, you can really do some crazy stuff with it. Canvas bumping, emboss. I don't want to emboss anything. Let's see here. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to distort. I'll sit there and ripple it. There you go. So now it's rippled, etc. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this, and just basically tapping to just getting started with what you can do with it as far as that goes. There's a way. I'm sorry, I just cannot remember how to do the stroke. If I could remember to do stroke, it makes it look super awesome and cool. And if you look that up, I think you'll find it to be a lot more fun, a lot more interesting than what I'm doing with it. Because I've really not done much good with it, in my opinion, as far as that goes. I mean, it's great to have the stroke color there, but there's some serious things you can do in the opacity and all that fun stuff, toggle layer. There's really some cool stuff you can do with the actual strokes, and you can totally make it look like it's hand drawn, or I mean, it's neat. You can make it look like it's done with calligraphy. I'm not even gonna get into it, but so this is really great for vector type stuff, and it's very powerful. You make stuff look photorealistic if you're really good at it. Again, I don't spend any time on it, so I'm not very good with it as far as that goes. Cinepaint's like GIMP, only it's for film stuff. And lets you do super high res. I'm not gonna get into the 3D stuff. I'm not even using a program like that. I don't have. I know it really well. Actually, that's what I'm good with. But I don't have the 3D card acceleration stuff on this virtual machine, so it's not going to do it. But here's your layout program, and this lets you lay out a brochure, a book, or something of that nature. Double-sided, single-sided pages, all this fun stuff. And you can actually lay out exact proportions, borders, edges, text, layout with the images properly for your document. And this thing's excellent for that. And it's what it's designed to do. And if you're trying to do professional printing or anything like that, this is the program to use. Unless you want to go buy one of the commercial programs, it'll cost you about $1,000 for them. But this one's free and it's open source. All right. So it said, okay, I installed all these programs. I'm like, that's great. Go ahead and close it out. I didn't want to run them. I already ran some of them. I showed them to you earlier. You notice we didn't have to restart our computer. It immediately just put the application right in our uh, our menu there, and we could use it. So, but if I wanted to upgrade everything, I could just say yum upgrade, or not upgrade. I'm sorry. I need to say update. Or upgrade, I guess, also does it. And I should have said -y with that, so it doesn't ask me the y. But if you put -y in there, it will keep you from having to say -y there. But you notice I have a ton of programs to be upgraded. I have 315 programs to upgrade. 14 of which have been installed. 12 are going to be removed. 9 dependency plus dependency packages, and it's a total of 637 megs to download and install. And that's what it's going to do now. So it's just going to go out, find everything it needs, and then download and download and install it and update everything, the whole system, all the programs, the operating system, everything. And that's all you have to do to update your system. So there's no pop-up annoying little programs telling you update me, check to see if there's an install, blah blah blah. You don't have to do that. Instead, this thing goes out and finds everything that needs an update, finds the updates, and then automatically updates it. It's beautiful. Couldn't ask for more. So with that, that basically covers the introduction to Linux. If you also if you want to have a 3D interface or whatever, use Compiz Fusion. I'll show that off at some point in time here. But anyways, there we go. And thank you very much.